So today we're going to do an update on S4 Capital after the share price exploded off the interim results, and obviously investors were very happy with what came out of S4 Capital on that interim results. So as requested by you guys by plenty in the comment section on yesterday's video, can I take a look at S4 Capital and just update with what's going on? And we're going to do that today for you guys. Now, just to let you know, I'm going to try something new today, and you'll see it anyway, and then I'll decide if it worked or not. I'm actually going to do a bit of a video format where in a second, I'm going to actually jump to a mini screen, but stay on the whiteboard and share my screen with you guys. So let me know what you think about in the comments, and I'll also give my opinion after I edit it. Well, I'll have my opinion. I won't tell you guys. I'll have my opinion on what I think of it. But yeah, just trying something new here. But we'll get started on to S4 Capital. So S4 Capital had a very good day, as you can see yesterday. As the stock opened up, you can see the stock actually finished up over 12%, and actually today it was having a really good day until the US markets opened up, and and yeah, it just dragged everything down. It's been an ugly day in the market, and yeah, it dragged S4 Capital down as well when them US markets opened up. If we just go onto the 1 day chart, you can see here the lift in the share price, and then as the day went on, especially when them US stocks opened up at like 2 o'clock our time, you can see that really did drag it down like 3.6% there. So yeah, not great from that point of view. But yeah, obviously investors were happy with S4 Capital's interim results. So we've got a few points to make here, and we'll go through them together. So first of all, getting into the results, revenue was strong. Obviously this is a company based around revenue growth, and there was no change in the story there. It smashed expectations. In fact, it was slightly higher than what was expected. So yeah, that was really good, because obviously when we look at S4 Capital, it's a share price that has been absolutely killed in the last year really, and a lot of that concern was around marketing, with it being a marketing company, and is there going to be any weakness? And even S4 Capital were a bit like, we don't exactly know what the back year is going to be like. Is there going to be a bit of weakness in our business? And clearly there isn't. Obviously the main thing is the top line growth, and it still had it. The revenue growth was fantastic. You'll be able to see here that like for like was still 30%, and you can see here that the revenue as well was 58%. Obviously there's a few acquisitions in there that's helping that revenue there. Also the gross profit obviously moved in line with the revenue. Basically it was a little bit lower at 27%, and you can see here down at 58%, but basically the company isn't struggling really in the gross margins. Gross margins are still holding pretty strong, which is pretty positive. Now the big thing was the operating loss. You'll be able to see here that the operating loss was massively down. You can see here it was 75 million compared to previously 16 million, so we'll dig into that in a second. But just going back onto the revenue side of it, revenue got, obviously one of the main things is on the story is revenue growth. It's obviously really strong, especially in a time of weakness, and it's still performing amazing. And also S4 Capital came out and said actually in the recent months, I think this was on the webcast call, which if you do want to check it out, it was about an hour and 15 minutes long. I listened to it this morning. I'll share some of the information that was in there with you guys, but worth the listen anyway. But yeah, they basically said the recent months that we've just had, which was July and August, still showed really strong growth, which is really good to hear that they've not really seen any kind of weakness here. They were very hesitant. There was a lot of questions in that webcast talking about revenue growth forecast for 2023, and also like gross margins, EBITDA margins going into 2023. S4 Capital spent a lot of the webcast basically going, it's way too early for us to kind of give any sort of data at the moment. Obviously we've still got plenty of the year to go, and in that basically last few months of the year will be very key drivers for us to give data into 2023. So clearly S4 Capital were obviously bullish that they're still having very good revenue and income at the moment, but they were still hesitant to give any kind of long-term guidance, because there could still be a lot of things that change in the next few months. And that basically sums up where a lot of businesses are at. Like, it's people thinking it could be a very positive 2023, but we're just going to hold off and see how it goes into the back end of the year before we give any guidance. And S4 Capital was the same, but they did give the details of that. Still, the latest few months have still been very strong, which is obviously very positive. So the revenue growth was absolutely amazing in this quarter. Now the only little concern I had in this quarter was the operating losses. Obviously we had the profit margin a few weeks ago, or a few months ago, basically coming out saying that EBITDA losses were going to be a little bit higher than what was expected. And you can see here that operating losses were down massively as well, from 16 million down to 75 million. Now obviously the key standout point here is number of people. You can see here we were sitting around about 5,600. That did increase to 9,000. So that was a rapid amount of increase in the staffing issues. And later on, you'll see that S4 Capital say that it was the staffing issues that basically caused a massive loss in operations. So that's one big thing that they need to be working on. And going on to the operating losses, you can see here that there was a loss of 75 million, which includes 100 million of preliminary combination payments. And also it said here, significant cost management measures, including a break on hiring, have been implemented in the second quarter. So that's obviously them saying we are going to control the costs from here. And they actually make a statement here is that they said that their actual hiring got far ahead of their growth of gross profit and net revenues. So basically they have taken way too many staff on, and that means that they dragged down in the operating losses at the moment. So this is something that they need to correct towards the back end of the year and move into 2023. That's the big improvement that we need to see from S4 Capital, because previously what I've loved about S4 Capital is that it's a business that has amazing margins, as we can see from the gross profit margins. If we just flick back to the gross profit margins here, the revenue is 446 million and the gross profit was 375 million. The gross profit's absolutely amazing with this business, and they just keep reinvesting into the business. The problem is they've probably reinvested in way too heavy. Obviously some of this stuff might have come from acquisitions, but also hiring has been a little bit heavy as well, and that's obviously increases the losses. Now, what I've really loved about S4 Capital is they've really focused on revenue growth, as you can see here, but they've always kept it to a break-even point of view where they're not burning through the balance sheet. Now, unfortunately, that losses does mean they're going to burn through a bit more cash this year, which they have said we need to sort out. They're going to do that by slowing down the hiring that we just showed a second ago. They're also going to hopefully see some of that impact into the back end of the year and then move it into 2023. Analysts as well are forecasting something very similar. So that is one thing they do really need to improve on. Obviously, they've just made an error where they've obviously hired too many staff, or maybe got too many from acquisitions, and it's also been a competitive market. But obviously that's one issue that they need to rectify from me as a shareholder. So yeah, I mean, obviously good revenue growth, but they need to work on them losses, because like I said, I love it when they don't burn through the cash, and they are doing that at the moment, and they are going to resolve that, as what they've said in the statement here. They also said we have secured 2 new Whopper clients. So Whopper clients are clients that bring in over $20 million per annum, which will be fully operational in 2023, making a total of 8. 5 more clients, making a potential of 13, are trending towards Whopper status. This year, another 14 clients have been identified as potential Whoppers over the 2022 and 2024 3-year planning period to reach the objective of 20 clients. And also the group expects a significantly stronger second half performance, with a weight into the fourth quarter pipeline remains strong in comparison to last year. So obviously a strong second half coming in the year. Also, you can see here they've also identified clients that they're going to try expand. One big thing that S4 Capital does is they really do get businesses to come in and they expand them contracts. They spend more with the business because they like S4 Capital's work, and that's what they've been working on. And obviously that's identified where they're going to expand and get more money from the clients that use them already. So the pipeline's already there for future work, which is obviously positive as well. So overall, I looked at this interim results and I was quite impressed. Growth is still very strong. Obviously, there's been a bit of an error in the staffing issues, which they have said they need to resolve, and they are going to resolve, and we should see that towards the back end of the year. That's something in the short term. They mentioned about the auditing issues and resolving that, which was one of the big concerns with S4 Capital. Obviously, they're trying to move forward with that issue now, which is obviously positive. So yeah, there's no change to the story here. The revenue's still really strong. Obviously, losses need to improve, which they are going to do and said they're going to do towards the back end of the year. The issues with the auditors have been resolved. So yeah, for me personally, I'm still looking at a business that's performing really strong. Two issues that they've had, which is the profit warning, which they are resolving hopefully in the next 6 months. Obviously the auditor issues, which they've already resolved. And yeah, same again, I'm looking at this business, a business that here was, £4.15, and it's now down at £1.62. It's going to trade at something like under 1 time sales for a marketing business here that should get back to very close to break-even status very soon, and also offer good amounts of growth. Yeah, I'm looking at this one at a really good valuation. The story's still very much building there with S4 Capital. I can see why the investors reacted really positive to this, and even with that positive reaction that we did have on the day of S4 Capital's, as you can see, we are starting to have a bit of a bump up here at last. Even at these sort of valuations though, I do really like S4 Capital at these sort of valuations, and if I can, I'm going to personally try pick up a few shares at this sort of level because I still think it's a fantastic opportunity. So yeah, decent interim results from S4 Capital. The story's still there with the business doing amazing. Obviously there's two issues. One of them resolved. One of them they're going to work towards resolving towards the back end of the year. And yeah, the business is still in a pretty good place. And I thought the webcast as well was pretty good with a few information that was put in there. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video anyway, guys. Smash the like button. Let me know what you think of this format as well. And yeah, I'll catch you in a bit.